So you'll know when the safety S is important, because safety S, when you're on campus, or even as you prepare to go to college, you know that learning how to have sober fun, that's one of the information in the S, learning how to have sober fun. So you may see that a lot of the hype around college is all about drinking. Right. And we know that the more alcohol involved, the more dangerous situations are, because people are out of control and people can be taken advantage of and all the above. And so when you're talking about the safety S, you know that if a college is a party is coming up, you understand that you have a system to follow with a sister system. I talked about that. Sisterhood is one of the S's. A sister system that you don't necessarily have to drink if you want to be there. If you want to just go there and be social, you can bring your own drink. You get what I'm saying? Learning how to watch your drink when you're in places, learning how to not receive certain drinks that may be spiked with various drugs and things of that sort. So all of these things are just being conscious of that. So that's when the party comes up. Now, another S is sex. We talk about sexuality, right? So you know that when you're in a relationship or you're meeting someone in college and you have a liking to them and you want to have sexual experiences, how to do that safely. And so you bring these S's out when they're relevant on campus, but basically the system are I look at them as tools to be able to navigate when you need it.
So it's really best to kind of get into this system and to learn about these tools before you start college.
Absolutely.
So that you're well prepared.
Absolutely. And within the system, predominantly there's the S's, but there's also, affirmations. There's also worksheets. There's also reports and experiences from girls who've actually been on campus using the S system. So there's a whole lot of things for people to chew on. And here's the other piece I think is so important, specifically with the parents. The S system becomes an amazing framework for conversation when the child is away, or when a young person is away. So you can say, hey, Maria, Susie, who have you? Hey, Maria, how is success? Because success is one of the S's too. How is the S success happening for you this week? And then you talk about some of the things you talked about, right? Or another conversation would be like, have you implemented some sisterhood strategies in your experience? That's one of the other S's, sisterhood. So it becomes now a conversation, and daughter say, you know what, Mom, I did. And I did blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's great. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So now we're working it into the relationship between parent and child, and then she's able to have, the parent's able to have some tools to be able to then kind of bounce off with the student.
Brilliant. And can relate to what they're going through as well, which is fantastic. How long did it take you to create?
Oh, that's a good question. So actually came up with the first three. The first three was sex, success, and self-respect. That was the first three. And then the other S's just came. And so I would say the first three were easy, because I was like, this is what we need to talk about, because there's too much going on in the world for women not to really be talking about sex, self-respect, and success in my mind. Like, what do all those things mean? Yeah. And then the other came. So I would say the three came instantly or short period of time, but the other S's maybe about a year later.
Brilliant. That's good. That's fantastic. And did you have moments of I'm sure you must have had moments of blank periods or writer's block? Did you have periods like that?
No, because the thing is, when I'm in this zone, I get in this zone. I just create. It's one of the things as a person that's an artist. I get in the zone where I'm like, all right, well, what do you need to say? And then how do you want to say it? And then I just kind of start going. So I wouldn't say it's a block. I would say that when it's time to create something, and it comes through me, I allow it to come through me.
Brilliant. And what about
thank you.
No, you're welcome. What are I guess, how do you measure how successful it is?
So I think by people's behaviors. So if you actually have someone saying that they implemented So I had Phenomenal You ambassadors. So my ambassadors were basically implementing their essence on campus. And they would then come back and talk about what was relevant to the experience on campus.
Right.
So one experience, this is something that happens a lot with a lot of college students, is the idea and the feeling of overwhelm. And just like, how do you balance, you obviously use like, you had high school, and if you had extracurricular activities when you were in high school, then you were home and you kind of hang out with your family. But now it's like education on campus, then there's like social activity, and then there's like extracurricular activity, and then there's like studying, and then there's, this whole stuff. It's like, how do you balance all of this?
Yeah.
And so one of the essence I talk about in self-respect, which is, learning how to put yourself first. So that instead of you trying to, which is part of self-love, instead of you trying to do everything, I want you to take a step back and really kind of gain, and focus on you. And I give them one day out the month, but they can do it once a week, or whatever the case may be, which is the 13th of each month. And so here's the thing. What I'm saying is, you ask me, how do I gauge if it works? So when a student comes back to me, or my ambassadors come back to me and they say, okay, so I implement the 13th of every month as a self-love day. And so no matter what's going on that day, depending, if they have a test, they can't do it. They get to switch it right. But no matter what's going on that day, for the most part, I stop and I make sure I take care of myself. So I kind of get a grounding or footing. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I come back to what I'm doing. And to say that implementing a strategy like that really helps with their anxiety and overwhelm, really is a measurement of success for me and for them, because they now have a tool to have to implement while they're on campus.
Wonderful. So brilliant. And have you found that, just from your ambassadors being on campus, that things have come up that you haven't included in your system, that you'll say, do you know what, next time I do it, I'm going to include it?
I think I would say more yes than no, but I would say, like, before people are getting overwhelmed with like 15 things to do, just focus on me. Just deal with the 8 right now. And I think that's a good framework to be able to go from being totally ignorant on what to do in these situations to having 8 tools.
Yeah.
Like either you have 0 or 8. Now, can I do 15? Yes. Can I create 20 tools? Yes. But it's like, what tool would I bring out? You know what I mean? Like, so I think going deeper, of course, there's definitely more essence that can be added, and definitely more things that it can be addressed. But I think that the 8 is a good framework for them to walk through, specifically that first year, but the whole 4 years with that shift in mindset. The person who doesn't have the concept versus the one who does have the system, really being able to say, I know how to use this when I need to.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me, who inspires you, Lacey? I'm sure you've got a few people.
I do. My mother. My mother inspires me. Life inspires me. Sometimes I inspire myself. Sometimes
of course.
Right, for myself. Sometimes I do. Let's see who else. Oh, my little cousin. She's only 5. She's not even 5 yet. She's 5 in March, but she inspires me. She inspires me because she makes me think about the hope. Yeah. And she makes me think about, here's a person that can be really poured into in an amazing, amazing way. And she receives, things in an amazing way. And it's like, okay, she just can be so great in her receiving of so much information and so excited about information. Yeah. So I would say she inspires me. Her name is Sophia.
Wonderful. Hey, Hey, Sophia. Oh.
I call her So.
Oh, bless. And your proudest moment, apart from Phenomenally You, because you've created this system, which is fantastic, it sounds like an amazing, amazing system. Is there anything else, any other proudest moments? You've inspired, you've impacted, it sounds like, or your work has reached over like 20 countries and 5 continents. And is that to do with Phenomenally You?
It's just the sanctuary in general. I've been doing it for so long. It's sanctuary. Just all of the things. That's, but I'm only one aspect. I've done so many different things. I've, written another book called Celebrate Her Now. I've done, these things like inner beauty parties. I've done, speaking engagements and workshops and summits. So it's so many things that I've done. But Phenomenally You is a system specifically for a specific niche. But what was the question you asked me again?
It was just more to do with
my proudest
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say my proudest moment was when I actually gave birth to Phenomenal Everywhere, which again is part of my suite of things to inspire women. But Phenomenal Everywhere is my solo theater show. It's about my life. And that was hard because I really had to go in, like, I had to like go in and really look at my life, you know what I mean? All of the things that made me who I am. And that was a challenge. Obviously facing yourself is the most, I would say, challenging thing to do. But once you do that, it's like, it's like unstoppable for anything because you just can face yourself. So it was hard for me the vulnerability of being able to share. It's one thing to face yourself. It's another thing to now share it with the world. So like the fear around that was great. And then when I finally did it, I was extremely proud because it was like, I remember when I didn't want to read my story to like more than 2 people. Like I couldn't read it. I really just couldn't. It was like, no, it's just too much. It's too naked. It was too naked for me. Like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then when I read it to 2 people, then I read it to 5, then I read it to 10, then I read it to 50. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I read it to, then I performed it. And it was like, okay. And so I guess when I gave birth to it and I really felt confident in sharing it, it made me proud. Wow. But there's still like a bit like a distance, I would say, because let me just say this. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there's a distance that I have to have between me and my story because it's so intimate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
wonderful. Oh, that's deep. That's really deep, isn't it? Thanks for sharing that with us. And just on to my big life questions. What is the biggest lesson life has taught you?
The couple of things that came up, I had like 3 that like rushed to my brain. But one I would say is that when you have a healthy relationship with yourself, that you can have a healthy relationship with the world. And so I find that the better I treat myself, the better I understand, and obviously it's always a journey. It's always a journey. It's never ending.
Yeah.
The better I treat myself, the better I learn about who I am, the better I take care of myself, the better I am authentic with myself, the better the more I'm open to learning and growing and not being stuck on old stuff. I think the world opens up in a major way. And so I think that my self-treatment, my self-knowledge is a reflection of how I show up in the world and how the world shows up for me.
Love that. And 3 tips or pieces of advice would you give a teenager or young adult?
1, implement the S system.
Okay. Being honest.
No, I'm serious. Yeah. I'm not saying that as like on some like promotion energy, but really on some like you need guidance. And so I think having guidance that is tried and true, even if this is not mine. There's some level of guidance that helps you not try to figure out everything on your own, even though people will have their own path. So you can teach people certain things and they still find their own path. But I think if someone say, hey, check this out and, see how these things, work for you. I think that we can really kind of move through life in a healthier way. So I would say implement some system and Phenomenal. I definitely recommend Phenomenal You. Number 2, I would say always never stop learning and growing about you. Learning about you, never stop learning and growing about who you are and what you have to offer.
Yeah.
And number 3, I would say be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
There's so much harshness. There's so much harshness in the world. But if you're being kind to yourself, let's be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And, be kind to yourself.
And what's the most important message you'd like to leave with us today, Lacey?
Be phenomenal.
Love that. Love that. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we wrap up?
No, just thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share. And thank you for being on the journey as well. And give me an opportunity to share with young people and the future of our world. So thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Lacey, how can our listeners connect with you?
Yes, well, definitely you can help me up on the website phenomenally-u.com, phenomenally, PHENOMENALLY, mouthful, right? -u.com. But you can also go to Instagram at phenomenally_u2.
Wonderful.
On Instagram, or my name Lacey C Clark, but phenomenally _u2 is where the information is.
All the information. There you go, listeners. You've got all of Lacey's contact details there. And don't forget to check out the link in my bio, where you'll find all my social media links and my website, oyana.co.uk. And if you're looking for a mentor or a transformational coach, do, check me out, email me. I'll be more than happy to support you. So until next week, keep learning, live fearlessly, practice gratitude, and love unconditionally. This is Carol Oakley. Peace and love to you all.